Howdy. First off, after I recorded this episode, I went back and appended this bit from way back in B5. Junker Zine or Zane pointed out that I missed these text logs, and they're the only ones in the game I overlooked, so here I'm slotting them in, but I'm not going to pay them too much attention, because I'd never planned to. Okay, let's head to the third messenger room as scheduled. I don't know if running water can be said to be a theme in this game. My god, it's loud. And as many people pointed out, yes, a hydroelectric dam isn't the most efficient way of providing power. A lot of mechanical components there that can go wrong. For that matter, having the facility be unsealed, all open to rats, and the buildings we see in the distance are intact enough to be immersion breaking. If we take it on its word, and why wouldn't we, that the simulation's been running for thousands of years. I'd say less egregious is the utter destruction of the simulation. Our mind is the gold disc, which we can use to make others, admittedly just like us, but still propagation is possible. That is, if we've been given the parts and the know-how to create more bodies. Hopefully there's a whole warehouse filled with upright golems, ready for us to breathe life into. We didn't get the solipsist achievement, so hopefully we've no intention of just walking off on our own. The logs from B5 are fortunately fairly detached from everything else that was happening at the time. The first is an excerpt from On the Sacred Disease by Hippocrates, which can mainly be summed up by the modern view that everything we think and all disease that affects our mind is attributed to the brain. The excerpt only talks about the things that the brain experiences: joys, delights, madness, delirium, fear, and ignorance. But if you read the whole text, he goes on to say, finding the root of various maladies in the divine is the work of charlatans, and cures doubly so. If you want someone from 400 BCE discussing mental health through cold hard logic, give it a read. Here's a crib.
I look at this inert shape and I wonder who you're going to be. Will you hold the same values as we do? Will you love us for having created you? Will you resent us for having put you into an uncertain and dangerous world? Looking back at our history, our achievements, our crimes, what will you make of us? Will the world you create be like ours, or so different that we can't even imagine it? Either way, I hope that you'll find this little blue planet to be as beautiful as we did. I hope you'll take care of it a lot better than we did. And I hope one day you'll look up and reach for the stars.
I'm glad the last we heard of Alex wasn't her death rattle. I'm not directly resentful. I don't appreciate the pressure. I don't appreciate that it's either succeed or be destroyed, and that it's essentially a race. But I know that wasn't the intention. She is placing more pressure still. I guess she thinks it's such a long shot that this entire project is going to pay off at all, that it's unnecessary to speculate on how we might actually go about surviving once we're alone in the real world. There is a statue over there. This is a puzzle. It's the only puzzle like it in this whole game. there's plenty of hints. The QR code, this path that leads into the abyss. I think if it was just the bust and the statue, it would be enough of a hint to make this. I was happy with this. I hadn't looked up star locations. I assumed the last one would involve me jumping off the tower in increasingly elaborate ways. Quickly breezing past the last text logs, the second one is by Gilbert K. Chesterton, who's known for the quote, "Don't be so open-minded that your brains fall out." He says the brain is a machine for coming to conclusions. This excerpt doesn't go into what he means by that, but it does say that when he drops one doctrine after another in a refined skepticism, declares to tie himself to a system, and has outgrown definitions, which some may suggest is the ideal that our brains should aspire to, then he has basically lost consciousness, is no longer human, as man can be defined as an animal that makes dogmas, piling conclusion on conclusion in some tremendous scheme of philosophy and religion. The third text, meanwhile, perhaps in parallel I should say, describes the brain as a product of the development of matter, and at the same time an instrument for the cognition of this matter. This is by Bronstein, not David Bronstein, but Lev Davidovich Bronstein, otherwise known as Leon Trotsky. And so we are getting back to the main theme of the game, that the brain is there to build upon itself, push its limitations, conclusions upon conclusions, checking its work over and over again, and gradually improving. And the hidden text says, the true method of knowledge is experiment, which is more Blake, and it's why I can't hold this whole thing against Alex. If you don't try, you can't fail, but you also can't succeed. The fourth log file throws a really nice perspective on all of these discussions of brains. It's simply a physiological account of someone who suffered a blood clot during infancy, which resulted in a stroke that wiped out their entire left hemisphere, but rather than suffering damage to their language and other cognitive functions, they have only very subtle cognitive deficiency, which suggests that the right side compensated quite adequately for it. Which I suppose highlights that we can say what we like about brains in theory, but when you actually look at them, or at least at particular serious examples in isolation, you end up with situations where a person thinks everyone they know has been replaced with an imposter, or that they themselves are the imposter. There are scientific names for these and everything. Never underestimate what a brain is capable of. This messenger room went really easy on me. I only had to cut out one section. Or maybe I've slowly improved, but so subtly I can't really tell. Besides being a good place to put an Easter egg roundup, I included this messenger room just before the star room, because I wanted to try out my hint on one of the hardest puzzles in the game. Joke's on me, the star rooms don't have any hints available, so we'll be stuck with that little question mark symbol from now on. What a way to wake up. All the three messengers have talked in pretty much the same way. Maybe lying in a coffin for an extended period of time is a homogenizing experience. I wonder if I'd be so calm and eloquent if that was me, or if I'd just make an immediate dash for the exit.
Your faith has guided you well, my child. You have overcome every trial in this land and gathered all the sigils.
He's just repeating what he's already said, just in case we forgot. And it's a lie! Next time we'll be gathering the remainder of the sigils. And here's our final sigil puzzle. I felt since I was on a roll, this was worth getting out of the way, and to be fair, I did it pretty expediently. So much so, there was only just enough time to read out this one. It was posted in the thread, but it's worth saying here for posterity. Thank you, Heat Wizard, for forcing a vulgarity into this series. It's acceptable in the name of art. If computer.fail equals true, screen.set background to blue. User.frown, system.shutdown, user.shout, oh fuck you. Did I hear someone say 9 minutes of Easter eggs? There wasn't a good place to put these, so this is a final push from C3 all the way up the tower. Up at the back of this natural motte, there's more seemingly arbitrary references.
Fly, you fools!
And in the same place, slightly to the right, jumping onto a ledge this time. So that was fun, seeing things from the air. Didn't last very long though. Shall we fix that? At the exact opposite end of this area? Again, doing the kind of exploring I was more apt to do 3 episodes into this series. This looks like it's probably a prop from another game. Not these signs, but the slightly blood-smeared alcoves. Someone's already been through here and deactivated all of the dangerous traps, but let's investigate anyway, in case they forgot to retrieve the only thing worth getting in here. Let's get some sound effects going while we're at it. What can I say? Now this is an Easter egg. Sorry if you can't hear me over the roaring jetpack that I wish was a permanent unlock. So maybe that song plays out the same as before. Difficult to tell when your downward momentum is impossible to compensate for. This jetpack is a beautiful curse. We need all 3 jammers to make it past this barrier. And huzzah, there are 3 in this hub. A 4th would be nice, but it's not essential. Flying is so hard. It's so hard. At least I didn't find this jetpack before I made it to the real world. It would have been the first thing I sought out and I would have been disappointed. Just a few more components to get. Like building that monster on the pedestal, except replacing the mind-numbingness with jetpacks. There was a little scripted sequence there where I cushioned my fall using the jetpack. This game. It's this same monster again. They are incredibly attached to it. And can you blame them? I hope to one day get my head around what it takes to design an area like this and hide it away where almost no one will see it. These little guys, aside from everything else, they also make pretty good platforms. Has it been well established that I'm hardcore? No? Well then allow me to demonstrate. Devs, arcade machines, paper cutout sigil puzzles. Some other stuff, more devs. Spoilers! Okay, Football Glory was Crow Team's first game released in '94, for which they got sued and released it as freeware. Yeah, his eyes are always like that. And the writers, maybe the launch party, multiple gazebos, and the extent of their concept art for all I know. Lego Talos coming soon. Yes, toy flamethrowers. Yes, these are still the guys who made Serious Sam. C4 and 5 have nothing in them. C6 though. I would have stumbled across it if I wasn't so fatigued by the puzzle itself. It's a whole lot easier once the gates have come down though. I don't have much to say, even as my pixel sword phases into the ground. Minecraft is permeating enough without it showing up 3 times in this game. Still, there is fun to be had. Oh yes, this thing. The time I wasted on this. Minutes, I tells you. Minutes. He wasn't a soldier, I just saw this in a film once. Up on floor 3, we're throwing ourselves off the tower again. In a controlled way this time. That probably looks intentional, but it wasn't. Smiley face, mentalist reference. Ended this year, but here it will live on forever. Up in floor 5, it's not worth showing off all the falling that I did. Except for this one. And yeah, I would take it a lot more carefully if I had to take the lift back up every single time. It reads, Ike, fall down here, this area looked very glitchy, secret Easter egg here, 2014-07-29, 1440, build 206690, Angel. There's one Easter egg I'm not showing out of all of these, apparently just before the very final floating platforms puzzle. If you travel along a pipe, you'll see Pipeline 1.048596, which is a reference to Steins Gate, another anime, so sod showing that off for a bowl of chips. And that's all there is. Don't let the tower hit you on the way down.